What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. Today we are talking about some amazing stuff that is coming to Watcher of Realms this weekend, specifically if you happen to have missed out on something, because I think the Captain Reeve banner has started potentially a trend in Watcher of Realms, something to look out for. But let's dive right in. And welcome back, guys. Like I said, I think that the Captain Reeve banner, this event brought back the Captain Reeve banner, and I think it may have brought something back into the game, which is the concept of running banners over again. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time that we have seen a banner come back in roughly the same iteration. For example, for Reeve, it was in the form of a, guaranteed at 250. And of course, it had a little bit different because it was the 15x instead of the 10x, but that was just because of how the game has sort of matured since the Reeve banner came originally. But we have some interesting stuff happening this weekend that could prove to show some really a good trend pushing forward, and that is this banner right here, the Special Invocation of Spirits, which is the 15x for Elowin and Anai. Now, we had this banner in the past. I think it's almost exactly the same banner. In fact, I think I might be able to see exactly, because I know that we pulled on the banner. Let me actually pull up the video, because I think that it is the exact same banner, but I want to double check. So let me go find my videos where we pulled for Elowin. Here we go, and we'll pull it up on YouTube. Let's see what we have. Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up over here so you guys can see it. You'll see it's the exact same banner, right? So we have Elowin, Anai, Damon, Harpoon, and Imani. And if we go back into the game, it is the exact same thing. Imani, Harpoon, Damon, Anai, and Elowin, right? It's the exact same banner, one for one. The only difference is instead of a 10x, it's now a 15x, which I think is really, really good for a various number of reasons. First reason is both of these champions in the legendary slot are very, very, very good and very important for several different game modes. Elowin is amazing. She's very good for rage regen in Guild Boss. She's very important for the healing Immortal Codex, the Wasteland Titan. She's also very, very helpful in places like Void Rift, right? She helps with the Spider Boss. I think it's a Racha, technically. I think is what it is. But she helps with that. She helps cleanse that poison. She's very good in a lot of different game modes. She is, as one of my friends from the Watcher of Realms community calls it, she is the grass waifu. And she does a lot of really good things for an account. So if you don't already have her, now's a great opportunity to go in. Because when this banner first came out, it was the introduction of Anai, if I remember correctly. And it might not be the introduction of Anai, but she was fairly new, and a lot of people didn't want to pull on this banner because Anai was also featured. And at the time, Anai was considered to be a very meh champion. However, she's gained a lot more good potential because of Immortal Codex, as well as because of some sort of changing meta when it comes to the Guild Boss. I personally am actually using my Anai on my Guild Boss team now, with my attempts to push to 50k in a single key with no friend assist, right? So there's definitely a world where this is an amazing banner for a lot of different people, because these two champions unlock a lot for the game. But that makes me wonder about what other banners could potentially come back that could give us some really interesting stuff. So let's see if I can find some of the other banners that we've had. We've got some other ones. I gotta find them. Hold on. Let's see here. All right, so here's another banner that we could potentially get back, and this is interesting for a couple different reasons. One, Boreas is not as good as he used to be, right? He's definitely been nerfed, and so he's not the greatest champion anymore. However, he is still very viable for the early game push into Gear Raid 1. And he's also actually potentially very helpful in some other places as well, right? He's not a bad champion. He's just not nearly as broken as he used to be. But then we also have Setram, who is a very good champion for the intro into Guild Boss, and potentially even better in some other areas. Then we have Aurum. Aurum's not the greatest, as we've talked about before. However, Aurum is very good in certain situations. For example, he's actually not a terrible champion to use in the new Immortal Codex boss that requires, dots like poisons and burns, because he does apply burns. He's also a defender, which you could use in the tank Immortal Codex. Now, he's not the best option, of course. There are other options that are better, but this is a potential good banner that could come to the game. And there are several others. I'm not going to go and search for all of them right now because it'll take me forever to find them. But this is something that I think is really cool, that they could potentially continue this trend by bringing back old banners that had really good champions. For example, Silas in Vierna. Bring back the Silas and Vierna banner. People will lose their minds, right? Because Silas and Vierna are amazing, and you want duplicates of Silas specifically. Of course, Vierna's duplicates are not the greatest, but getting a dupe of a Silas allows you to get an Awakening 1, 3, 5, and get really, really great value out of Silas. So bringing back a Silas and Vierna banner could be really, really good. Same thing with something like a Caneza and Salazar banner, right? Salazar's a really good champion. Could do great things with that. What about Arrogance and Lust, right? There are a ton of champions that have been on banners that have been really, really good. And if we saw them come back to the game with a 15x drop rate, it could be another chance for some of us to get those champions that we've missed out on. So this is amazing. Highly recommend. If you don't have Eloin and you don't have a Nai, or you maybe don't have one or the other, this is a very good banner to pull on. Getting a Nai to A1 is actually very good because she applies magic res reduction, which if you're using her in Guild Boss will allow your Zillitu and your Hex potentially to deal a ton of extra damage, because this is one of the debuffs you don't actively have on that team. You have vulnerability but not reduction. So having a Nai able to apply this magic res reduction could give you, potentially 15% additional damage for your two biggest damage dealers in Hex and Zillitu. So that's a really game-changing Awaken as well. Getting her to A3 is okay. It's not a crazy amount, but every time the burning on the target deals damage, you do get a 1% damage increase for up to 30%. So, it's okay. It's not super crazy because it does sort of cycle, but it's not bad. It's helpful, but I wouldn't go too far for that. And then the A5, this just applies burning, increase the chance to apply burning is increased by 10%, and the duration of burning inflicted by the hero increases by 2 seconds. So, it's good. It's good. It's not bad. It's good. But I don't know if I would go super far. I think getting A1 is really good. So if you say, for example, have a copy of a Nai, you don't have any copies of Eloin, this will be great to go in, because if you pull an Eloin, you have your first Eloin. If you pull in a Nai, you have an A1 Nai. Same thing here. This is okay, right? Reducing damage is always good, but it's not super crazy, right? So personally, I think that this banner is good. However, there is a competing banner, and that is the Surprise Invocation of Spirits. This is probably the best banner in the game. And it makes sense that they dropped it right now, because we all just went ham on the Captain Reeve banner, as well as the, Zillitu Hex, etc. banner, right? So odds are you're very low on summons, right? If I go to my summons, you'll see I have a 10 pull and 3,000 gems. That's not a lot, right? And if we go and we look at like my record, let's see, I have 3, 6, 9, 19, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 49, 51. So I have 51 pulls into pity because I pulled Lasir, right? So I'm 51 pulls into pity, which means I would have to get 200 more pulls in order to guarantee that I hit the 1+1, which is realistically is not going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to pull, but odds are you're gonna spend, if you're a spender in this game, to get the 1+1 because it's the best banner in the game. I highly recommend, if you are playing the game and you know where you are on pity and you're close to hitting pity, or you're willing to use all of your summons to get to pity, this is a very, very good place to go, right? This is a very good banner to summon on. I highly recommend it, because it's just it's better than a 2x, or at the minimum it's equal to a 2x, right? Because a 2x is potentially saying that within the period of 220, I think, summons, you're going to get 2 summons, right? You're going to get 2 legendaries out of the 220. If you go on this banner and you go all the way to pity, you're still going to get 2 summons for 220. And if you hit it early, you're just getting more value. This is really good, especially if you're in a place, you know, where, like for me, for example, where I'm really close to a lot of different things, right? For example, A3 Cerberus, right? This is a game-changing one, right? 50% additional damage is crazy, right? Also hitting something, like I said, A1 Anai would be really, really good. There's a lot of different things in here that are really, really good, when it comes to like increasing damage or viability. And so allowing you to get multiple copies of a champion is very powerful for you to get multiple awakens on champions, and or get your first copies of champions as well, of course. But overall, this weekend is insane. And I actually just recently watched Fastidious' video on this same topic. And I have to say, I really agree that with the idea, with the notion of, are we getting too many good banners? Because I can't think of a weekend where I didn't want to summon. Now, I can think of weekends where I didn't summon, right? But I can't think of a weekend where I didn't want to summon, because every banner recently has been so good. And this is definitely not a change. This is definitely really good. Don't get me wrong. Both of these banners are amazing, but it would be nice to kind of have maybe a week off, or maybe we go into more of a little bit of a rotation where we have a really good banner and then we have just the 2x the next weekend. So if you want to pull, you can, but you're not forced to pull. I mean, you're never forced to pull, but you know what I mean. You're not going to get that sort of FOMO. Or maybe we do something along the lines of, like, one week we have a really good ancient banner, and the next week we have a really good divine banner, and then the next week we have a really good blue summon banner, right? So there's a lot of things that we could do to sort of make this feel a little bit better, so you're not using all of your resources every weekend, because it's going to make it really feel bad when you don't hit the champions that you want. But overall, guys, if you have summons still available, or you're willing to spend money to get summons available for you, this is a great weekend to do so. I highly recommend, if you can, get the 1+1, and then if you still want to, you can continue to go on the L1 at Night banner. This is a great banner, amazing. If you haven't gotten your Abomination Fusion, 2 of these champions are part of the Abomination Fusion, so that's really nice as well. But yeah, overall, guys, I mean, this is a great weekend. Another thing to keep in mind is we do have the Spiritual Altar, which has a Gogron copy for the Crowdor Fusion, which we will be releasing our episode 3 of the sort of Crowdor Fusion update. So definitely check that out. Make sure to hit that sub button so you can be notified when that goes live. But yeah, the Spiritual Altar is here, so you're gonna have to summon at least a little bit on this weekend anyways in order to get the Gogron, if you still need the Gogron. Of course, not everyone does need it, because there are 19 copies of Gogron available, so there's a good chance that you're not going to need to summon. But if you do need that extra copy, great time to summon would be this weekend. So I think that's going to be it for me today, guys. I'm really excited about both of these banners. As you guys know, 1+1 is my favorite banner. I've hit it every time it's come into the game, and I really, really think that it is the best value for your summons in this entire game. You know, there are certain champions that are like really, really good, and if you hit them, that's amazing, but there's a good chance you're not going to hit them. And so because of that, getting the 1+1, being able to hold yourself at that 1+1, at that pity right before, if you know a 1+1 is coming, is very, very beneficial. But guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below with, do you think we've had too many good banners? And if so, tell me why. And also, are you going to be summoning this weekend? I know I am going to be summoning, probably at least for the 1+1, maybe for the Eloin and Anai banner. Probably not, but definitely for the 1+1. That's it for me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.